So there's a video that I actually am coming up here with because of your comments on our past videos. If you ever want to see any type of combination or setup with these new heroes especially, leave a comment because I try to at least look and read all the comments over. I don't necessarily respond to all of them, but one of them was a very good one. What happens if we take this new hero Ulmus and replace Thorin in the typical team that most players are using? You know, the Carolina, Arden, Aaron, that type of team right there. What happens if we substitute him in versus Thorin? And we're going to try that out today and see how it's actually playing out. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So right now we have every hero pretty much at the same level. We're just going to leave that for the sake of this test because we're going to do a direct comparison and see how combats typically go with a Thorin versus an Ulmus. And one thing I'm going to show you guys immediately is at the beginning of these battles here, one thing is evident. The Aaron type team usually ends up being the stronger of the two, but we need to show you guys exactly how this plays out. Now, a lot of people wanted to see this very specific team right here. So again, if you want to see something different, definitely leave a comment down below because I'm basically just going off of what everybody else is saying they want to see. And we're going to use a pretty much bone stock traditional team right here. We're going to have Aaron here, we're going to have the tank in the front linked to our Arden, we're going to have Carolina and Damien because this is just pretty much the core team majority of players use. And on top of that, is good because it gives you a 3+2. And well, it was just like the go-to PvP team for a while. So while there are better teams in this, most people built towards this and have this. They don't have they don't have these other heroes. And again, this has a pretty good faction mode. So let's run through a couple of these stages. You'll see right there, the grouping is still pretty good here. These battles shouldn't be too difficult right here, but I want to show you guys kind of how they play out overall. You can see some of our heroes are going down. The crowd control isn't exactly on top of things. We are still pushing stage 1000 right now, which isn't a huge deficit, but it's definitely still one that is going to take some time to try to get through. And you can see overall, the Carolina kind of went down really quickly as they charged to this side of the battlefield. We are going to be able to get a victory here, but I kind of want to show you guys exact duplicates. So we're going to show you on each one of these stages what both of these teams look like. And then this version, we're going to throw the Ulmus in. We're going to put you towards the back row. The big difference here is at the beginning of combat. Watch the very beginning here. The combo of Ulmus and Aaron is going to buy the team so much additional time to the point where we actually are getting towards our ultimates already on our back line, and it keeps the enemies kind of grouped up a little bit better. It definitely keeps the team more safe, and you can see right here how the combat played out. This team combination ended up being so much better than the traditional Thorin one. But hey, it's just one battle. Let's go through and show a bunch of different ones. I'm going to try it again. Stop the battle short every single time so we can do a direct comparison to try to show how these teams actually played out, and you can kind of see and get your own feel for how the battles are progressing. Again, this one probably shouldn't be too bad because the enemy is not too difficult of an enemy. Looks like this one was very quick work even with the Thorin, but let's go over to the Ulmus, show you guys in the beginning how the enemies are going to stay grouped up longer, which I think is the best part with this combo. They definitely stayed locked down for a better period of time. So there's two different takeaways here. Number one, Ulmus doesn't directly protect one specific hero like Thorin does, so that's a positive and or a negative. Ulmus definitely has better overall survivability than the Thorin, I'll say, but Thorin will be able to deal more damage between the two. This one could be interesting because this one's survivability I feel like might actually play a pretty big role here. These enemies are super tanky. They can deal a ton of damage. Let's see how this plays out with the Thorin tank first. We're going to get our heroes chucked around the battlefield, but honestly, this is still going pretty smooth overall. And of course, the one thing to remember, I do believe the new hero will be a better deficit pusher than the Thorin, just because, I mean, when you're deficit pushing, healing and survivability is like the most important thing, and we have more crowd control in this team, which usually leads to a better result overall. Okay. But again, remember, Thorin actually does do a significant amount of damage, but majority of the time, even with an Ulmus going to the back row and starting to use his energy ability, he's not a great damage dealer. He really isn't. But again, this combo right here, the Aaron Ulmus combo that we showed you at the end of last week, is just such a solid combo. The survivability of your team is just so good. And I'll show you guys the damage of Ulmus too. I know I keep skipping this the final card, but Almost doesn't really do anything. Damien actually does more damage overall. And in this type of team with Ulmus, Carolina does even better than Arden a lot of times, because Ulmus helps keep those enemies grouped up together, and you definitely want them grouped up. Whereas with a Thorin team like this, the enemies tend to be a lot more mobile, because yes, they get immobilized for those couple seconds, but you can already see they kind of spread back out pretty quickly. This team, again, shouldn't be too difficult. Thankfully, there is an Igor, so we can kind of take it a little bit further here. Yeah, the Igor is still going to have plenty of survivability here. But again, having the Ulmus on this team, I think, is definitely an upgrade. Is it an upgrade worth doing, though? That's a whole different question, because you can see right here, the synergy with Carolina with Ulmus and Aaron is much better than Arden, because Carolina needs those targets to be within like one tile of each other, and then she just shreds them to pieces. You can see here, anytime we put Ulmus in the team, Carolina does some crazy damage. Let's try doing the swap on this one. So we'll leave Ulmus in first, and I'll show you guys the skill card on the Thorin, or the final card on the Thorin. But yeah, these attacks from Carolina, just, they become so strong here. Arden's still a very good damage dealer. I just feel like the synergy with Carolina, Aaron, and Ulmus is just so much better, because right here, oh, they did get pushed apart. Sometimes that weird stacking happens and they get pushed apart, but these plants are like some of the most annoying ones to actually fight. But Ulmus does keep them locked down a little bit more, and it makes it a little easier to keep track of them, because you guys know these things jump all over the battlefield here. I kind of forgot to stop it while I was talking about it, but you can see how Ulmus does a really good job of controlling those really annoying enemies too. Let's go in with Ulmus, and then we'll swap back to the Thorin type team. Remember, we're not doing some crazy power differential here. We're just kind of doing the average gamers type team, because let's be honest, we're on an average gamers team. Yeah, that's going to be a quick win right there, versus going with a Thorin. I'm not going to do crazy deficit pushing necessarily, because not many people really do. I mean, a good portion of the pushers out there do that combination, but you can see right here, I feel like the average player just pushes moderately every single day. They don't go for crazy statistics. You can see on this, like, the enemies are so much further apart. We're actually losing heroes with this type of setup here. We might still get a victory, but it was not as smooth as with Ulmus. So if you guys were wondering if you should do it, it can be better, but I don't think it's significantly enough better that you really have to pull for it if you've already gone crazy all in on the Thorin. I think it's still probably better saving, but I just want to show you guys, yes, in fact, there are better options out there right now, and it does seem like the Ulmus, Aaron, Carolina, Damien, Arden type team is just a better version of the Thorin team overall. Thorin's not the best tank. He's like the best damage dealing, buffing tank. But if we're just talking about like raw damage output, sure, Thorin. If we're talking about utility, and especially the amount of crowd control you're applying to these enemy teams, and especially with Carolina, I said it a million times, I think Ulmus is the better version here. So if you guys want to see any other team combinations, maybe you are running a more traditional team with like Smokey and Cessia, if you want to see that too, leave a comment down below. I don't know how many people are still running the Cessia, Coco, and Tundra type of team, but we could try to see how that's going for you guys with an Ulmus. I don't think it'll be as good or anything, but you guys can see here, Ulmus is definitely the better option out of the two when we're talking about Thorin and the main team that we're using. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I, again, am really enjoying this Ulmus hero. I think he's really good, just not necessarily good enough to push the build on, if that makes sense. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.